Known for having a blue tone in loads of fish turtles and even mermaids, the Weeki Springs is totally lovely. However, its magnificence accompanies a value. The cavern that lays underneath is exceptionally perilous and must be investigated by experienced jumpers. Yet when a gathering of such jumpers entered the cavern on the last day of spring, 2012, one of them, 29-year-old Mawson Ashley A., would die of death, even after all that his partners did to save him. This is the grievous story of the Weeki episode. Tragically, it's not the initial time. Individuals have passed on there. The risky profundity of up to 200 ft can now and again cause the surprising to even expertise jumpers. One time, quite a while in the past, Mawson K. told his mother, Barake mother, assuming Guy at any point pass on cave jumping, that is what I love the most. Any mother would be frightened to hear their kid discuss demise, by any means, not to mention use it in a sentence that is making a plunge, it jumping alone, terrified a great many people, and Barbara was scared of her child's adoration for jumping. She had heard sad stories of scuba jumpers losing their lives, and was worried about the possibility that her child might confront the same destiny by and by. She regarded his enthusiasm, and she realized it was where he discovered a true sense of reconciliation. Mrs. Barber could likewise breathe easy in light of the way that her child wasn't simply a thrill-seeker who wanted to go through the entirety of his time on Earth submerged. This is on the grounds that Kay likewise cherished TCs, residing numerous years. In Gainesville, Florida, Kay functioned as an organization engineer in the IT division for Life South People Group Blood Focus. He had been at the middle for quite some time. While enjoying jumping experiences as an afterthought, he was likewise a surfer and had likewise endeavored skydiving. Yet, water was where he found the most euphoria, and he was unable to help it. Actually, his dad, likewise named Mawson K., had been in the Coast Gatekeeper, and this is where he fostered an energy for swimming surfing. Furthermore, fishing. So, when Kest's submerged research was searching for individuals, Kay burned through no time in chipping in his administration. Kest is a charity that consistently makes willful jumps to profound spots that researchers would some way or another not enter. They lead exploration, and anything that they concoct, they accommodate anybody to access free of charge. So, fundamentally, Kay was offered the open door to partake in his dedication to plunging, as well as do it for an extraordinary reason. Kest, as a rule, works in Florida, which has north of 400 submerged cave frameworks. Yet the one they likely partake in the most is the Weeki Springs State Park. Furthermore, it's undeniable why this may be the case. The Weeki, which has been in presence starting around 1947, is the main spring in the reality where you can see live mermaids. To see the mermaids, one needed to sit in the mermaid beta, which can situate 400 individuals all at once. This is a fascination that typically pulls the two local people and sightseers in the same, yet the spring broadens way underneath what traveler can see. For Kay and other worker jumpers of vehicles, their fascination lies in the cavern framework, which even the mermaids won't dare approach regardless of their refined preparation. Investigation of the Weeki cave framework has been continuous since 1998. Anyway, on account of the great tension at the entry of the cavern, investigation was slowed down until 2007 following a drawn-out dry season. Today, because of progressions and plunging innovation, the cavern has been additionally investigated, and entrance into it has been a lot more straightforward for jumpers like Kay, who had needed to investigate the cavern. They initially need to drop 75 ft from the outer layer of the springs to encounter the startling entry of this cavern. This entry can permit just a single man at once through. From that point, they can investigate as far underneath as 429 ft. In any case, these plunges are not quite as simple as it might sound. The fact of the matter is, as per Brett Hemphill, a well-established individual from Cast, there's a 50/50 possibility that something will turn out badly, whether it's hardware disappointment or a human successor. So we get ready to manage it consequently. The group typically plans for quite a long time prior to making only one bite the dust, yet more significantly, 25 individuals from the group are expected to make this jump. Out of these 25, 7 security jumpers are expected to be in the water in the event that anything turns out badly. So on that day, on spring 31 as 2012, 5 jumpers entered the cavern. K included. He was appropriate for the plunge. His scuba tank contained the right inventory of air, and his controllers were working when he dove in at around 3:30 p.m. He effectively cleared his path through the entry, which was typically a hard swim considering the high-tension progression of the water. Yet this was the kind of thing Kay had done often previously. From that point, he pigeoned more profound into the enormous lodge room, 180 feet from the Met surface. This piece of the cavern was somewhat more bent, with a few stone developments. However, during past jumps, materials like a white rope was set in the limited parts to make routes simpler. Typically, when a jumper needed to return to the surface, they should have simply followed the ropeway, and would be fine. So, at 180 ft, in the cave, K imparted to his colleagues that he was prepared to swim back to the surface. They approved him, and he began making his climb by following the white rope, which hinted at the cleft region of the cave, only 142 ft from the surface. Starting here, the cavern straight, and the rope is hued orange and has a breadth of 716. In K just needed to follow this orange rope up to 68 ft from the surface, and his eyes would have the option to see a sunshine. Sadly, he didn't make it that far, in light of the fact that something horrible happened. You see, as he moved vertical, he did so excessively fast, which constrained air into his noses, bringing about a horrendous ailment known as a blood vessel gas embolism. Blood vessel gas embolism is the stowage of bloodstream to organs by the presence of air pockets in the veins. The corridors impacted for this situation were those in his cerebrum and heart, and the side effects were quick and pulverizing. These are side effects like stroke, which incorporate bewilderment, visual impairment, seizures, loss of cognizance, and loss of motion. K began to display a portion of these side effects. First, he lost his capacity to think appropriately and consequently moved off course, away from the roped way. He before long wound up in a tight and risky piece of the cave, only 100 feet from the surface. He was unable to move, and his disarray might have caused him to misjudge what is happening, thus passing on him to quickly swing his head this way and that, eyes wide and ready, glancing around with each muscle strained for what could be the most awful to occur. Fortunately, the security jumpers close by could see he was caught in this prohibitive region and immediately swam to him to attempt to make a salvage. Yet this of the sinkhole was tight to the point that even side-mount jumpers couldn't simply extract themselves through. Thus, the well-being jumpers couldn't pull him from his situation in spite of their earnest attempts. They likewise attempted to speak with him with light signals and contact. However, K couldn't answer as expected due to his confusion, so they immediately burrowed up to the surface to caution the salvage jump group. However, as they left him, he was soon oblivious and quickly drawing his final gasp. Then things would turn out to be much more devastating for him. During this time, the salvage jumpers were at that point equipped to make the salvage. They were furnished with everyone of the vital materials they would require for their own well-being. Yet in addition, for K, this implied they had additional valves, controllers, blades, and some other essential drifting cogwheels on the off chance that K was deficient with regards to any. Right away, they dove into the cavern and arrived at K's situation in just 3 minutes. Yet they were at that point past the point of no return. As they swam nearer to K's body, they found his controller was presently out of his mouth, and his veil was tracked down on his temple because of the blockage in his heart. Blood couldn't stream to his lungs any longer, and in no brief time frame, K was dead in the wake of checking for a heartbeat on K. Be that as it may, Finding none, they went on to attempt to liberate him from his stuck position. Yet it was such an issue for them, notwithstanding their involvement in circumstances like this, they found it hard to recover Kay's body. As they endeavored to move his body out of the convoluted hold, they met a few limitations. The stuff that Kay wore, likewise, didn't improve the situation, so they realized they needed to dispose of them. Initial one of the heroes, Matt Vincent, revealed that he was truly wedged in there, and we needed to really remove his stuff from him to get him out by 4:47 p.m. That very day, they effectively hauled him out of the water and onto the surface where Kay's colleagues were standing by restlessly. They were grief-stricken to find their companion, and jumping accomplice dead. Further audit of Kay's stuff uncovered that his fuel tank was still half full. His controller, still a lot of dynamics, so hypotheses about the reason for death began to zoom around, with suffocating being the primary guilty party. The dissection result killed each hypothesis by highlighting blood vessel air embolism as the genuine reason for death. However, what was as yet not satisfactory was the reason Kay decided to make a climb more quickly than he used to. This couldn't be discovered. It's accepted that something had occurred down there that made him frenzy and move excessively fast vertical. His passing was clearly a tremendous catastrophe for his mom, who he had told about kicking the bucket, doing what he cherished. Be that as it may, he additionally abandoned other friends and family, also including his dad and two different sisters. Following his passing, Life South, where he had worked, made a record online for individuals who knew Kay to share their opinion on him. Individuals talk just great beneficial things. Talking on her sibling's demise, his sister Andrea said cave jumping was his obsession. He was somewhat of a thrill seeker. Individuals were recounting what an astounding paw he was. Furthermore, what a colossal heart he had. This helps me to remember another enthusiastic jumper that experienced a much more lethal circumstance, a jumper named Sway Thomas that became caught in his own hardware. Assuming that you believed Kay's story was lamentable, stand by till you see what has been going on with Weave.